God, we're back again for another episode of We Need to Talk About ... But this one's a little bit different.
Little smidgen of a bit different.
We've covered 3 films from different eras, different decades, different genres. For this episode, we've gone for a bit of a palate cleanser. This is more of a spin-off from our film review series. We are here to not talk about one film, but we're actually going to be talking about something from both our childhoods. Not just one film, but a series of short films.
Indeed.
Hopefully these will be sort of shorter episodes, but you know how we like to go off on one.
We do.
Quite often.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we'll have the shorter reviews between the longer film reviews. Again, to be a nice little palate cleanser, a nice little slice of lemon and lime there. And what we're here to talk about is... well, the Americans will know them as PSAs, public service.
Public service announcements. What we're talking about is public information films.
Which is the same kind of thing, but over here in Blighty.
Our parents taught us a lot. In my case, it wasn't just my parents. You can probably add The Doctor, Asterix, Tintin and John Shaft to that list. And look at me now.
Oh dear.
Anyway, for everything else, we had public information films. Now, public information films, or PIFs, were a series of government-commissioned short films shown during television ad breaks in the UK, and as we mentioned, the US equivalent would be public service announcements. The films advise the public on what to do in a multitude of situations, ranging from crossing the road to surviving a nuclear attack.
The ones for the nuclear attack were not necessarily broadcast. They were filmed.
They were filmed.
But they weren't officially broadcast.
No. They are sometimes thought to concern only topics related to safety. But there are public information films on many other subjects, including animal cruelty, protecting the environment, crime prevention, and how to vote in an election or fill out a census form.
And in some cases, even as simple as covering your fucking mouth when you're sneezing, you filthy get.
Many of these films were aimed at children and were shown during breaks in children's programmes during the holidays and weekends. The general low-budget quality and the infamous static crackle before them gave them a Hammer horror-style aura.
Which I have to say is quite surprising when you're not trying to watch an episode of Tis Was or Saturday Morning Swap Shop and then this comes on.
Now, that's not to say that all PIFs were like this. Not at all. You also had the likes of the Green Cross Code Man showing your children how to cross the road safely.
Hang on, isn't that the Dark Lord of the Sith himself, David Prowse?
Okay, bad example. Okay, how about this? You had popular children's television presenters and celebrities teaching young children how to swim.
Kids and water, they love it. Rivers, canals, even the lily pond in the garden. You can't keep them.
Okay.
Moving on.
I know, what about passenger safety in the car?
Click the seatbelt, even if you are just going round the corner. Clunk, click every trip.
No, move on. No, we're really struggling here. Please, is there someone who is in these things that is pure and has the heart of a hero?
Well, now we'll all remember the Green Cross Code. And use it. Splink!
Oh, thank Gallifrey for that. The history of PIFs goes back to World War II, where they were shown in cinemas. I mean, many were made by and starred a gentleman called Richard Massingham, an amateur actor who set up Public Relationship Films Limited when he discovered that there was no specialist film company in this area. They were commissioned by the Ministry of Information, and Massingham's work has since gained a cult following for their quirky and often humorous tone. After the war, public information films were produced by the Central Office of Information, which is now closed, and again by private contractors, which were usually small film companies.
PIFs were supplied to broadcasters free of charge for them to use whenever they wished. Their usefulness as a cost-free means to fill in the gaps in fixed-duration commercial breaks left by unsold advertising airtime led to them being used regularly and extensively throughout the 1960s, 1970s and much of the 1980s. And consequently, within both the COI and broadcasting companies, they were typically known as fillers. Fillers produced by the COI were mainly for domestic use. However, COI films were also commissioned by the British Foreign Office to supply films for overseas use. These films dealt with research and development, British products and the British way of life. They were usually distributed throughout the diplomatic network, but not always. Some films were sold commercially to overseas outlets, mostly television. The COI closed on December 30th, 2011, after 65 years.
So, that's the background. And now we turn to our first review of a classic public information film from 1973. Now this is a short one to begin with. It's only less than a couple of minutes long. But as the series progresses, we might do some of the longer films, and if we have several films of a similar length to this one, a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, then we might do a couple in an episode. So, without further ado, we present from 1973, Lonely Water.
Or to give it its full title, The Spirit of Dark and Lonely Water.
I am the spirit of dark and lonely water, ready to trap the unwary, the show-off, the fool. And this is the kind of place you'd expect to find me. But no one expects to find me here. It seems too ordinary. But that pool is deep. The boy is showing off. The bank is slippery. The show-offs are easy. But the unwary ones are easier still. This branch is weak, rotten. It'll never take his weight. Only a fool would ignore this. But there's one born every minute. Under the water there are traps, old cars, bedsteads, weeds, hidden depths. It's the perfect place for an accident.
Oh, look, there's someone in the water. Quick, use that big stick to get him out.
Sensible children. I have no power over them.
Oi, mate, that's a stupid place to swim. Hey, go over and get that thing to wrap him in. You don't feel cold, mate. How long was you in there? Ew, what thing?
I'll be back.
Hang on a minute, was that Donald Bloody Pleasant as the voice of death? Luke? Luke?
It's okay, I'm safe. There's nothing in the water. It's okay, I'm safe. There's nothing in the water. There's nothing in the water. There's nothing in the water. There's nothing in the water!
Okay, so while Luke gets back from his happy place, let's talk about Lonely Water. Now, obviously we've made jokes about Rolf Harris and what have you, and certainly looking back now with 2018 eyes, that clip looks just as sinister as Donald Pleasant as the Grim Reaper. But at the end of the day, the one with Rolf Harris did have a positive message. It was like, right, teach kids to swim, give kids the confidence to be in the water. Whilst with this one, it's just a case of don't go near the fucking water whatsoever.
Danger lurks in the water. It's not safe in the water.
If anything, between that and Jaws, you can see why I may have turned into a bit of an aquaphobe over during my youth. It's like, I'm going nowhere near the fucking water.
It does genuinely give you some mixed messages. So that one was from 1973, and I think the Learn to Swim one may have been a little bit later, to be honest with you. But that's so the classic and sort of public information films that we saw. They did have some sort of message. It was telling children about certain dangers. And there's various other ones. I mean, there's although not strictly public information films because they were funded by the British Transport. There's various ones about sort of when playing or don't play.
Oh God!
By train tracks.
A couple of infamous ones. One is the finishing line, which I think we're going to have to cover in its own separate episode, mainly because it features depictions of graphic views of dead and dying children.
Yes.
Which is just what you want to watch when you're in school.
Very, very cheery subject matter.
And that was deemed to be so violent they actually pulled it from a few months later, only to be replaced with another film called Robbie,
which is equally as grim,
and ended up getting re-edited and shown again in the 80s. But then even that was deemed to be too graphic, so that got pulled and was replaced eventually by something called Killing Time.
Yeah. I mean, all of these things. I mean, the ones we've got not playing near electrical pylons and substations. I mean, generally speaking, and I don't know, most of these do end up with children dying rather horribly.
Which says a lot because you don't even get that in horror films.
No.
In horror films, children don't die. I mean, they might get possessed. But
ultimately, they will be fine. Their possession will end, etc., and everybody lives in beautiful harmony. These ones, oh no. But you've also got to remember this as well. We're watching this now in 2018. We're both now adults, questionably, but technically we are. We both have children. Yes, I know, as stupid as that may seem. There is no way.
Not together, you understand.
No, not together.
On our own.
No. Here's my hetero life, mate. But that's. But we would never show our kids these. I mean, I've got younger kids. I think the big daddy has one sort of mid-teens, and even he looked at this and went, "Ooh, that's a bit grim."
Yes, I have a teenage boy. You've probably seen him on some of the other videos that I've done where we've been
yes, that's true, yeah.
unboxing stuff and eating sticks of Blackpool Rock of questionable flavours. And even he was like, no, I'm not watching this, and left the room. Mainly because Donald Pleasance, who is an excellent actor, absolutely gives it his all, and his voice is suitably creepy and haunting. To the point where, when Channel 4 was doing its some sort of celebration of how long it'd been going around for, and it was like top 100 scariest moments in Channel 4 history, and this clip that we've just watched was number 4 in the list.
Yeah. And that's for an advert or a public information film that is a minute
and a half.
And people are that scared of it, and it is genuinely really, really scary. It is his delivery. But again, Donald Pleasance has been in many a film, many a horror film, and many various
I'll tell you
very, very famous films as well. If you consider, he is the original Blofeld.
The original Dr. Sam Loomis in Halloween. And I'll tell you something now, if he'd have turned up in Halloween as this guy rather than Sam Loomis, Michael Myers would have been straight out of fucking Haddonfield. He's like, yeah, I'm off.
And obviously most famous for all, the blind forger in The Great Escape. Let me come with you. I can see perfectly. This isn't supposed to be one of the main reviews. We're supposed to be, we're doing little tricks here, but
we're making little passports there out of a bit of tin and a bit of jam.
Yeah.
Clang, 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 clang. It's a bit clangy and a bit jammy. Yes, I'm from the Jam and Spoon division of Stuttgart. So a bit of Eddie Izzard in there for you.
But I think these are wonderful things, and these are from our childhoods. Both of us grew up in the 80s, and these were genuinely always on. And as when we were growing up in the 1980s at school, we would sort of break for lessons in school and watch schools TV. This is the thing: schools TV on BBC Two, and there'd be a TV on a trolley or something like that. They were really in, and then sort of 10 o'clock we would watch whatever program it was on whatever subject, and then sort of some project work will be around
Look and learn,
that.
stop, look, listen.
Zigzag.
Look
and read.
Look and read. That was another one. The one with the orange pencil, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Open.
That was Words and Pictures.
Words and Pictures.
That was Words and Pictures.
Pictures.
Look and read was with there's loads of people that are probably going to be watching this, and they won't know what we're talking about. But we're going to mention Wordy from Look and Read with Builder Bricky and Magic E, and that's not a euphemism for something else. This is a thing. All of these things.
See, sometimes you'd be sitting down, watching, oh great, we're watching a delightful children's programme. And then your teacher would go, well actually we're watching a different type of film today. And then they'd put something like this on. Now, I don't ever recall watching The Finishing Line or Apaches. I didn't see these until much later when they were on YouTube, when they became infamous. But I did see Robbie, and I did see the one about a construction site, building sites bite, or sort of, I believe it was something.
It was something like that. That there would have been this. There would have been one about a child trying to retrieve his frisbee from a substation.
That is
which ended particularly badly.
That is genuinely fucking haunting, because not only does he get fried to a crisp, but then his younger brother or sister comes running in, and as they kneel down to sort of try and touch him, they put their hand on a live bit.
And they get electrocuted too.
Yeah, and cut to a pair of trainers, all sort of smoke coming out, and it was nightmare fuel. It was absolute nightmare fuel.
It was nightmare fuel.
And they worked, because after this, The amount of fatalities that you got of kids playing on farms, building sites, train tracks, near electrical pylons, the amount of deaths did reduce. So, I mean, in this day now, if you were to sort of show a clip like that at school, you'd be getting parents filing lawsuits saying, your film traumatised my 8-year-old. Well, they might have traumatised your 8-year-old, but they'll never play on a fucking railway line ever again.
To use a phrase, it scared them straight, basically.
It scared them shitless.
It scared them shitless, but it also scared them straight.
So I think we've pretty much covered what we want to cover in this particular episode. As I said,
Yeah.
these are only meant to be short ones. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, there's also the Charley Says videos as well, which were a very popular series.
Yes, they also covered many things, and I think there was one about water safety as well with Charley.
And Stranger Danger. This
Yeah.
man wants to show me his puppies. And of course you've got Charley there, voiced by the brilliant comedian Kenny Everett, going, Charley says I shouldn't be going with other people.
Seriously, you
I've
got
got
all
to
of
tell
that.
my
from
mummy first.
that. Got all that from that.
It's memorable. It's absolutely memorable. So they certainly had a place in society back then. You could argue maybe they'll have a place in society now. They just sort of need to move with the times and don't be quite so fucking terrifying. But
That would be nice.
I think this is time we can sort of wrap up this particular episode.
Absolutely.
We do have another film review on the way at some point. And I'm sure that we'll cover more of these PIFs at some point as well. Yeah. Mainly the finishing line. I think that may have to be the next one that we cover. Just
because it's just insane and horrific in equal measure.
Yeah. And when you're crossing the road, don't forget, David Prowse will always be there to guide you. Especially when in random intervals, in some of the random clips, they completely dubbed his voice because no one could understand his Cornish accent.
That wasn't very clever, was it? If you'd been looking and listening all the way across, that wouldn't have happened.
Yes, that was not the first time that David Prowse got his voice dubbed.
This is true, yeah.
Who else used to help us crossing the road? Oh yes, there was Alvin Stardust, even though it looked like he was wearing a dead cat on his head. And Tufty was there as well, yes.
Oh,
the Tufty
and
Club. Were you a member of the Tufty Club?
I was not a member of the Tufty Club,
Thankfully
I was.
I had the badge and everything.
But also talking about road safety and crossing the road, if you're in the know about all these things, there's lots of examples of British TV that doesn't exist anymore. That the archives have been wiped. If you're a Doctor Who fan, then you'll know about.
I just knew you were going to put a Doctor Who reference in there.
Just I have to do this.
I think John Pertwee shouting "Splink" wasn't enough.
No, it's never enough.
Splink.
The episodes like Doctor Who and the classic 1960s Avengers series, they don't exist anymore. That these things have been sort of wiped, and there's always efforts to actually get these things back. Well, interestingly, a clip has emerged of a road safety sort of PI public information film style thing
Before crossing the road,
with this gentleman.
Look right.
Holy
Yes.
shit! It's Adam West, everybody.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest Batman ever came over here and did something for us.
So you never did that, did you, Ben Affleck? If you'd have taught more children how to cross the road, maybe Batman v Superman would have gotten over better. And of course, when budgets started to run out, they had to fall back on other superheroes. Superheroes that just so happened to be a Welsh teddy bear with oddly shaped pyjamas, who obviously had a fucking idiot spotty mate who didn't know how to cross the road properly.
Remember, I can't be there to save you, especially on the planet Earth.
Well, you're not much of a fucking superhero then, are you?
Also remember as well, Spotty, voiced by John Pertwee.
Oh God, yes. Well, speaking of John Pertwee, I think it's time. I think that we should give.
I think we should.
Pretty much everyone's favourite Doctor Who. Well, all right, Tom Baker's all right, but we should give most people's favourite Doctor Who the final word in this. So just remember, when you're crossing the road and you're not too sure what you've got to do, remember these famous words.
Splink. 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 Splink.
Why, hello there, and happy Halloween to you. Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk About ...
And on this Halloween, we thought we would mix things up a little bit, so we're not going to be looking at a cinema release or anything like that. We are back in public information film territory.
Which, as you probably know if you watched our previous video, there is nothing more frightening than a public information film.
And let's be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, this one's a good one.
Once again, I am the Big Daddy D, David Mabley. You may have heard of the baddest man on the planet. I'm currently the most caffeinated man in the room. And I'm joined here once again by my good friend,
hi everybody,
heterosexual life mate, Luke Murphy.
And after an introduction like that, anything I could say just wouldn't be funny.
That's it, we've reached the peak of the episode. It's all downhill
from now on.
Following World War II, British television had public information films, or PSAs, to protect us from doing anything stupid. In the early days, it was something as simple as covering your mouth when you sneeze, but it later went on to having minor celebrities teaching kids how to cross the road safely. But as we came into the 70s and 80s, the public information films decided to try a new tactic, by scaring the shit out of people.
In fact, you could say that these films went a little bit too far in terms of getting their message across. One particular short film that became infamous in terms of creating plenty of nightmare fuel and childhood trauma was all about warning kids about the dangers of playing in farmyards. Apaches. Apaches is a public information film made in the United Kingdom in 1977. Produced by Graphic Films for the Central Office of Information for the Health and Safety Executive, it was shown extensively in the southern, westward, Anglia and ATV regions before being shown either on film or videocassette in primary schools. The film was directed by John Mackenzie, who would later go on to direct the likes of The Long Good Friday.
The 26-minute-long film deals with the subjects of the dangers to children on farms and has been seen in schools all over Britain, as well as in Canada, Australia and the United States. Although its main legacy has been becoming known as one of the most notorious and most harrowing public information films of all time. Despite its content and graphic scenes, which children are killed in numerous gruesome accidents, the film was only given a PG rating in the United Kingdom.
The film follows 6 young children: Kim, Sharon, Michael, Danny, Tom and Robert, who are playing around a farm in a rural British village. Throughout the film, the children play at being Apache warriors, hence the film's title. All but one die in various shocking accidents, largely due to the children's carelessness, suggesting that the children would still be alive if they had known what dangers lay ahead. In between seeing the kids playing at being Apache warriors, we keep cutting back to what appears to be the preparations of a big family party.
The kids come across a farmer driving a tractor, but rather than doing the sensible thing and keeping out of its way, they decide to chase it, and one of the kids, Kim, climbs onto the back of the trailer and pretends to shoot at the farmer. Rather than telling Kim to get off his tractor and stop trespassing on his farm, the farmer actually turns around and starts joining in with pretending to shoot the kids back. What happens next is that Kim stands up on the tractor, which suddenly makes a quick turn, and Kim falls off, going headfirst into the wheels. Ouch. At their school, the teacher removes Kim's name tag from a coat peg.
This doesn't seem to concern any of the other kids as they continue to play on the farm with a game of kick the can. 2 of the lads, Danny and Tom, decide to chase after each other and head towards a large slurry pit. Again, there's the farmer driving his tractor, not in the slightest bit concerned that there's a gang of juvenile delinquents buggering about on his farm. Whilst hiding from Danny, Tom decides to balance on top of a fence overlooking the slurry pit and falls in. Nobody hears his cries for help, and he suffers a quick death by drowning. Yes, the kid drowns in shit.
Ooh.
The village children are given a day off because of his death, and the class teacher removes the items from Tom's desk.
With 2 of his friends now dead, actually witnessing their deaths happen before his very eyes, how do you think Danny responds to this? Luckily, the film teaches us how to apparently deal with death. Step 1. Stare. Step 2. Carry on as if nothing happened 5 minutes later. Once again, the kids are back on the farm playing at cowboys and Indians, and once again, there's another farmer in a tractor who doesn't give a toss and actually joins in with the game while still operating heavy machinery. The kids stab some hay bales and then decide to celebrate their victory by pretending to drink from a bottle of weedkiller. One of the girls, Sharon, does accidentally drink some of the nasty liquid and goes home coughing and spluttering. But it gets worse from there. Much, much worse. That sounds way too real.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like she was acting. That sounds like she was actually screaming in pain.
I think when we were prepping, sort of looking at this, and we'll get to the rest of the film in a minute, we have to stop here and talk about this bit, to be honest with you. Out of all of these inventive and gruesome deaths and what have you, this is the one that really, really quite gets you. Now, the wonderful thing about this is that, you know, the character drinks this weedkiller, whatever it was, goes home, she goes in the house, she starts holding her tummy, I feel a bit unwell, starts coughing, and then it cuts to an exterior shot of her house. You never go inside, you never see her or anything like that, you don't know what's going on inside, you just hear the screams. And the screams are awful. Absolutely awful. We'll get to a bit more of sort of talking about this after we go through sort of the main review, but we just have to stop here and talk about this because out of everything that happens, this is the most harrowing of the deaths.
Well, it's also probably the slowest death as well. I mean, all the kids in this die fairly quickly.
Even the lad in the Slurry Pit.
Well, yeah, even on the Slurry Pit, it must be a quick death. Her death must be like long and agonising and painful. As you can only imagine, she's suffering from like multiple organ failure at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you only get to see about a little snippet of the exterior of the house shot. I mean, it's less than probably 20 seconds or something like that.
It's what we don't see that makes it.
And again,
worse.
that goes to it always goes to sort of the old saying is what you don't see that scares you more.
Thanks for the nightmares.
Yeah, cheers.
I didn't need to sleep tonight anyway.
No, I didn't either. I have children, so I don't get sleep. He has children. He doesn't get sleep either.
No.
But that's because he's an insomniac.
That's where all the hair went, mate.
That's where the hair went.
In the next scene, her mother is seen clearing out her now dead daughter's bedroom with a close-up of her empty bed. Danny comments that he doesn't understand why adults like parties so much, seeing as no one plays games or gets presents. He also doesn't understand why grown-ups like drinking, although he thinks it's fun when they get drunk and dance around and give you money. Can't argue with that.
No, really can't. Back on the farm, the remaining kids have stopped playing as Apaches, even though on the soundtrack you've still got someone banging on the drum for about 10 minutes. They are now pretending to be Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, the game's not, the film's not showing its age at any point.
Yeah. There's a couple of moments where you think one of the boys is going to get crushed by a tractor, like what happened with Kim. And once again, the tractor is driven by a completely oblivious farmer. So after this red herring, what happens next? Well, one of the boys, Robert, gets crushed by a gate, gently falling on him instead. I'm not sure that's quite on the same sort of par as drowning in a shit pit or having your intestines getting burnt out by weedkiller, but it's still enough to get another gauntlet look from Michael again, and some more narration on the party that's going on.
Back at the farm, there's now only 2 kids left, and Danny runs off to find, surprise surprise, another bloody tractor. This time the farmer's actually getting off the tractor, and Danny asks him if he can have a go on it. The farmer seems to be completely oblivious to the fact that several children have already died on his farm, as he allows Danny to climb onto the tractor and then leaves him there unsupervised. Seriously, how many kids end up dying on this bloke's farm? This guy would have been in jail by now.
Danny accidentally knocks off the handbrake and the tractor starts moving. And this idiot is actually steering the tractor towards the cliff. I know he's just a kid, but surely he's old enough to know how a bloody steering wheel works.
Why doesn't he just jump off? It's not exactly moving fast now, is it?
So, anyway, Danny ends up driving the tractor off the cliff to his death. It's not actually a steep drop though, is it?
And then we get the twist at the end. The party was in fact the wake for Danny's funeral, and our narrator all this time has been Danny himself. Michael, also present at the wake, is revealed to be Danny's cousin, the only child not to have been killed by his own reckless behaviour, despite Danny having described Michael as daft earlier on in the film. Danny's voice then fades off into a ghostly echo as he sadly wishes he could have gone to the party.
So, the film ends. But instead of the end credits being the actors, directors, editors, camera operators, etc., etc., it is in fact a list of children who have actually died on farms in the year before the film was made. Some of them as young as 2 years old. In conclusion, never go outside to play. Ever. Stay at home. Play video games instead. It also seems to be a warning that not only are farms dangerous places to play in, but adults can be really, really, really stupid. The film certainly did its job in scaring children not to play on farms, but in doing so, also becoming the stuff of nightmares for its young viewers for years to come. And that is Apaches, ladies and gentlemen.
So once again we have to ask,
what the
hell did we watch here?
Oh my god.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. Right, so our first little foray into the world of public information films as kind of like a side series for sort of the main film reviews was Dark and Lonely Water, which was only a couple of minutes. This one being sort of almost half an hour or what have you. Dark and Lonely Water is tame in comparison to this. I mean, Dark and Lonely Water did have the creepy vocal stylings of Donald Pleasance as the voice of death. This, though, is a full-on horror film.
It is.
And it's not even for kids, this. I mean, again, I think we mentioned, so when we first introduced this series, we mentioned sort of the horrific nature of some of these, the hammer horror nature of some of this. Hammer horror has, you know, he had some scares, he had some shocks and what have you, but you know, it was always a little bit of sort of, in some cases, in some of the late ones, a little bit of camp fun and what have you. This is not fun. This is not fun at all. And again, we can come back to the fact that as parents ourselves, yeah, I know. There's no way in good conscience we would let our children watch this, even though we ourselves saw them growing up.
It's too much. It is too much. I understand the importance of scaring kids to say, look, don't go playing about on farms because there is a very real chance that you will injure yourself or die. And to look at those sort of end credits where there's a list of children that died on farms in the year before the film was made, again, some of us young as 2, I understand the need to sort of shock people to say, don't do this, but this almost goes too far. Like you brought up the horror films. In no horror film I've ever seen has someone died by drowning in a pit of shit. In no horror film I've seen has someone died by drinking weedkiller and their organs basically burning to fuck. I mean, the one with the gate falling on the kid is relatively tame. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not disputing that kids did die by gates falling on them, but the way that it's done in this, it just literally looks like a gate falling gently on a very obvious stomach.
Yeah, I mean,
but the other deaths are horrific. And again, when Danny goes off the edge of the cliff with the well, it's not even a cliff.
It's not really a cliff. It's really just about, I don't know what it is, but it's not a cliff.
It's not exactly a steep drop, but his scream is blood chilling. His scream is bone chilling. His scream feels very, very real. I mean, either these kids are fantastic actors, or they genuinely were terrified when this film was being done.
It's like you have a look at sort of the inventive deaths and what have you of this, and you know, it would be like if a Saw film came along and watched Apaches, the Saw film would go, oh, that's a bit much.
There's Jigsaw there making notes, and he goes, "Oh no, that's too much for me." Is that?
No, sorry, no.
Could the farmer actually be the serial killer?
I watched this, and I genuinely had this thought in my head. This farmer could be a serial killer.
Yeah.
This farmer could be the most inventive serial killer ever. Come play on my farm, and I will just ignore you completely, and then just let nature take its course. I seriously think this farmer could be a serial killer.
Yeah.
He could still be operating.
He's still out there.
He's still out there.
He's worse than Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger put together. This could end up being the Halloween episode, that.
We could put this. Yes, children. This Halloween, we're talking about PIFs.
Yes, the most scary films possible.
Yeah.
I mean, what we looked at in like part one of public information films. Yeah, there's kids playing about in power stations, and by lakes and sort of things like that, construction sites.
Yeah.
And this is like playing on a farm, and there's lots of, as you say, very inventive and nasty ways for children to die. And again, I can understand the need to have this warning out here, but this almost it goes too far, and the film was actually banned. It was shown in school for a time, and then it ended up getting pulled and sort of said, no, this is far too much.
Which interestingly, I've got both of us now sort of live in and around Leeds. I'm originally from.
Danny's from Leeds as well, isn't
Danny's
he?
from Leeds.
He's riding around the tractor with like a Leeds. Can I just say that he's not representative of everyone from Leeds? I think if you sat someone from Leeds in a tractor, we would know what the fuck we were doing. You know?
Yeah. I was just thinking,
stupid fucking kids.
Whatever. I've been terrible. But one of the points I was going to make is I grew up in Cumbria, so in Cumbria being a rural part of the UK, it is surrounded by farms.
So you would have been more likely to have had this film shown to you then.
And this is a film that was definitely sort of shown sort of in and around the time when I was growing up during the 1980s. I mean, this was about 77 hours, so primary school from. 83 to 89, something like that. So it's only 5 years removed from when this was made and released. So this is something that was actually made. This is a PG.
Yeah, again,
this is a PG.
Yeah.
This is okay, and. Okay, so the BBFC passed this as a PG. What we've got here is, the wonderful thing about the BBFC, and we'll talk about maybe a little bit about the BBFC in a minute, is that on their website, they will put on, they'll have their decisions, they'll classify the film, etc., and then they have something called Insights, which is basically for parents to go on, or anybody to go on, and just read a little bit about what they're going to see, and the type of things that they'll see in there, and the decision that's being made. This from the BBFC website. Apaches is a short film created by the Central Office of Information, warning children of the dangers of playing around on farms. Okay,
fair enough.
Threat. Various hazards common to farmyards are shown, with fatalities resulting from falling gates, drinking turpentine, drowning in a manure pit, and being run over by a tractor. Injury detail. There is infrequent sight of injury detail following accidents, including a small pool of blood on the ground and some blood coming from a child's ear after a gate falls on him. There is infrequent use of the term squaw to describe Native American women as the children play games of cowboys and Indians. The term is not used in an intentionally offensive manner.
So in summary then, I think what you're saying is, it gets a PG not because of the violence,
but because of the use of the term squaw.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done, BB. You got your priorities in order.
Well done, BBFC. Well done. Actually,
I would have given that a 15 at least.
15 at least, to be honest with you. Okay, we did that a little bit for comedy value, but the BBFC is actually really, really good organisation. It's one of the things that in this country that we really, really should be proud of, to be fair, because the BBFC make a point of making sure not that a film is not seen, but making sure that a film is seen by the correct audience, by giving it the correct classification. It's there as, it's not there as a censor anymore, although that was its original title, the British Board of Film Censorship. They're a great organisation. The website's really good. The archive section on the BBC website is even better, because you've actually got the full reports there of some films. The full report on Sam Raimi's original Evil Dead
should be interesting.
It's hilarious. Get a hold of this. It's absolutely hilarious. As is the report on the original Ghostbusters film.
Ghostbusters?
Yes, the
I
original.
wouldn't have thought that would be classed as like a video nasty.
Well, no, it wasn't classed as a video nasty, but the full report there's a section in the full report about where Ray is, shall we say, accosted by a female ghost.
I'd forgotten about that scene.
There's a section in there where Ray is accosted by a female ghost. We see Ray's face, etc. And in the report, the person who classified it and did the report basically wrote, "I don't exactly know what was going on here. Perhaps he was having his tummy tickled."
Oh, bless.
But that's it. That's the type of thing that, you know, the long reports are always brilliant. Reading about the BBC is a wonderful thing. We should actually maybe talk about the BBC sort of in a future episode, because it's a great thing to do. But that's just one of the things that has always stuck with me. That somebody thought, oh, perhaps he's having his tummy tickled.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but that's the face I make when I'm having my tummy tickled.
This bit's getting cut out. I'm telling you, this is getting cut out.
Oh well,
yeah,
that's great. But I do feel on this occasion the BBFC is like, your scoring for this was completely wrong. There is no. I mean, even with the PG, my youngest son is 10 years old. I would not let him watch this. He would have nightmares.
Yeah.
And I have two sort of elder sons as well. One is 16, one is 13. And just from me describing what happens in the film, I mean, the film is widely available to watch on YouTube.
Oh yeah. It's
I
only.
might even put a link in the video description as well. So
it's only most of the, as I think we maybe mentioned sort of in the original PIF review for Dark and Lonely Water, all of these are in the public domain.
Yeah, so they're not
free copyright, absolutely fine.
But just sort of describing to my teenage sons what the film involves, straight away they were like, "No, I don't want to watch this."
And these are sort of, you know, older teens. 16 obviously is going out now and hanging around with his friends and being all cool and what have you. And
but at least I know he won't be knocking about on a farm.
Absolutely.
You know, because the idea of drowning in a pit of shit is just...
it's too much for him.
I mean, you thought they had some over-the-top death sequences in, like, A Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, where Freddy Krueger bakes someone into a pizza, you know, and then eats them as if he's eating, like, meatballs. It's like, at no point did Freddy Krueger drown someone in a pit of shit. Although I can imagine what, you know, the sort of little quote he would make at the end kind of thing, you know. Like, you know, life shit and then you die, you know. that kind of thing.
Oh, I know we laugh about these things, but really, you know, all of these, you know, all of these videos, all of these films and what have you, they were there for a reason, and the reason was to keep our kids safe, basically. And once again, they went for the nuclear option of scaring our children shitless.
And I'm sure it worked.
I'm
sure it did, and I'm sure this certainly did help to cut down on the amount of deaths that did take place on farms. But again, its true legacy is being one of those public information films that we spoke about, that we had nightmares about, and chances are if you're watching this video, you probably caught the film or know of its reputation anyway.
Or any of the other ones that are out there as well. Some of the really sort of grim ones like Robbie and
the finishing line, which we will get round to covering.
Oh boy, will we!
But I think for this particular episode, we've covered what we sort of need to do.
Yep.
As I said, I'll put a link in the description so you can watch Apaches for yourself and check out what's essentially a horror movie.
A horror movie.
In the form of a public information film.
That does not in any way, shape or form shy away from killing children.
Yes. Which, again, is something you don't even get in horror films. I mean, like The Exorcist, you know, they get possessed and turned into the devil. Other sort of horror films that's got kids, you know, little kids that pop up in Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. It's not them that get killed. It's the literally too dumb to live teenagers that they knock about with. In this film, we are seeing kids being killed in numerous horrible graphic ways. And again, these kids probably are too dumb to live, which it's selective learning. It's the bottom of the gene pool being scraped out here.
I mean,
it's natural selection.
I was about to say, is this Darwinism in action?
But in the farm of an extremely neglectant farmer. So until next time, I am the Big Daddy D. And we're signing out for another episode of We Need to Talk About ... Don't have nightmares.
Bye now.
Hello there and welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk About ... the video podcast show that is approved by Rocky Flintstone.
I only just got over the trauma of that one. Okay.
I am your host, the Big Daddy D, David Mabley.
I am his kid sidekick, Luke Murphy.
I like to dress up in brown robes and hang around reservoirs.
Really, do you?
Sensible children, I have no power against them.
And as mentioned, I am Luke Murphy. I don't go near electricity substations, especially not to get my frisbee. Yes, and if you haven't already figured out, we're back in public information film territory for this one.
Essentially, the public information film would usually be some pretty startling short films approved by the government that attempted to educate and inform society. Now, while some of these short films are often very cheesy...
And off he goes, looking and listening all the way. He's great. I'm going down. Congratulations. You really know what you're doing.
And some of them were hilariously over the top.
Polish a floor and put a rug on it. You might as well set a man trap. And to think he'd only just come from the hospital.
Other films would become essentially government-approved horror movies, as PIFs began using more cinematic techniques to deliver stark warnings to a younger generation, such as the dangers of messing about near the water and trespassing on farms.
Daddy! Daddy! Daddy!
And who could forget little Jimmy's error of going to retrieve his frisbee from an electricity substation?
Jimmy!
These films were often very sinister in tone, as the fate of the film's protagonists was often inevitable. But this was a reflection of the fears and the anxieties that British society was experiencing at the time. This was a time of power cuts, the 3-day working week, and general civil and industrial unrest. A somewhat turbulent point in British history where children could be depicted as roaming around a bleak and hostile wasteland brimming with dangers. And that brings us on to today's feature. In the final part of our public information film trilogy, we will be taking a look at 2 short films that warn children about the dangers of playing near train tracks.
The first film we'll be looking at today is The Finishing Line in 1977, a 20-minute short film directed by John Krish, who had directed a number of other public information films during the 1970s. The film was produced not by the Central Office of Information, like so many other public information films, but instead by British Transport Films, who were seemingly setting out to tackle head-on that pesky assumption that the railway children, the literally characters, not the band, would have you believe in that the train tracks are a fun place to spend on a long hot summer's day.
Are we sitting down, children?
Are you sitting uncomfortably? Because I know I am.
Good. The film depicts a seemingly typical British school sports day, but it soon becomes apparent that there is something very odd and rather unnerving about it, as it is being held at the side of a railway line.
Yeah. Straight away, my spider sense is tingling. This doesn't seem sensible.
Your spider sense was tingling, mine was basically going off. Danger, danger!
John Kirsch said in an interview about pitching the idea to British Transport Films about a school sports day on the railway line, and was absolutely sure they'd turn it down. What a ridiculous idea. In fact, he was likely hoping that they would turn it down so we could get on with doing something else. However, it turns out they loved the idea, with the psychologist in the British Transport's employ telling him that this is exactly what we need. Yeah. He may not have exactly told them what was to follow, however.
The film begins with the voiceover of a headmaster telling an assembly full of school children that he knows that some of them have been caught playing on train tracks, and that the railway is not a sports event. This voiceover can be heard as a young boy is seen sitting on a railway bridge. As the boy ponders on his thoughts, he pictures a school sports day style event being held on a railway line.
Because this kid's clearly off his fucking rocker.
Yeah.
Things start to get weird from it there, as the rest of the film shows his imagined idea of what would happen, with children being split into 4 competitive teams to take part in a series of different activities, often carried out by young people trespassing on the railway. Like if the railway children suddenly became infused with the Hunger Games. From the start, it's abundantly clear that this film is not quite as well made as what Apaches was. There's a lot of filler at the beginning where the kids are just buggering about for 10 minutes. At one point, a teacher tells one of the children off for throwing grass, which is a bit rich considering that later on they're actively encouraged to throw bricks instead.
Now, you could say that this is setting the scene for a school sports day, but when you actually hear the director calling action at one point during the stone throwing scene...
Now, you lead the points, okay? So get those rocks going. Now, right? Now, hurry up in the 4 sides, right? Green, blue...
And when one child calls another a jellion...
Yeah.
I don't know what a jellion is.
You haven't got the nerves.
Just do as I say.
You're like a jelly.
Just shut up.
Then you just know that they were probably in a rush to get this made and didn't bother with any retakes.
I'm just wondering what the kid was trying to say. He was probably thinking, I'm going to call this kid a jelly or whatever. Yeah. And then at the last minute was to thought, oh no, that doesn't make sense, I'll call him a chicken. Yeah. And then it kind of got mashed up into jelly, you know.
To form a new word.
Yeah.
I have never seen this new word in the OED. It obviously didn't catch on.
I think we should claim ownership of this word and start printing out t-shirts, you know.
With the word jellion.
Official, we need to talk about ... t-shirts that say, don't be a jellion.
Don't be a jellion. Stranger things have happened.
Any artists who want to draw a picture of a jelly chicken hybrid, please get in touch.
Please don't. That would be really, really interesting. Okay, back to this.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's get back to the film. So, 4 games are held. Games. Yeah. With the first event being where the children are challenged to break through the fence to gain access to the railway lines and then run across the tracks. Not all of the children make it across, with one poor lass apparently tripping and falling over, knocking herself out. Despite the efforts of the other children attempting to pull her to safety, she is left on the lines as the other kids run away from the approaching train. And to say that she's got run over by a train, she remains in remarkably good condition afterwards.
Yeah,
you know.
she wasn't flattened.
No, and she
was still rather 3-dimensional.
And she was still in one piece as well.
Yeah,
you know. There weren't like bits of her here and there and everywhere, you know.
Moving swiftly on.
We should have got Tom Savini to do the.
God, that would be awful.
Yeah.
The next event is stone throwing, where the children will stand 10 feet away and hit the train. Extra points are given for hitting passengers and the driver. Next is yeah, okay. Actually, there's a strange bit where actually the throw the stones at the train, and then the train goes on, and then it stops, and then you've got 2 or 3 referees and adjudicators in there going, yes, blue team, broken window, 2 points. Yeah. Blue team, green team, broken window, 2 points, and also hit the driver, so that's another 4.
Broken window, 2 points.
Yeah.
6 points.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Next.
For fuck's sake.
Next is the last across event, which involves a game of chicken that ends in chaos and bloody mayhem.
The final event of the day is the Great Tunnel Walk.
Oh, this ain't ending well.
Where, without being able to turn back, all of the children must enter a dark, 3-mile-long tunnel and make their way through to the other side, with the danger of a train passing through at any time. Now, when I say all the children, I literally do mean all the children, because they have a single shot of every single one of the kids walking slowly into the tunnel, you know, without any cutaways, without any editing, without any change of camera angles or anything like that. I mean, I know they were trying to get the film to a 20-minute running time, but for fuck's sake.
After they enter, we see a train approaching. Well, what are the odds of that happening? And only 4 children managed to cross the end of the tunnel. Each of them injured horribly. Actually, one boy who crosses the finishing line collapses as the jolly voice of the announcer reads out the final results.
Yeah, and the announcer just seems really like joyous and happy about the whole thing. It was like that Monty Python sketch with the upper class twit of the year, where it's like, oh, what an excellent upper class twit of the year show we've had this year. Like, it's got the podium and all you know, everyone that came in like first, second, and third place are dead. You know,
it's the 4 kids that actually make it through to the end of the tunnel and what have you. They're staggering out as if like, you know, zombies or something like that. And then there's another adjudicator going around saying, "Now, what's your name, little boy?" All right, little Jimmy, thank you. Well done, well done. And yours? Yes, thank you. Yes, okay. Oh, here's another one. Oh, don't worry about that. We'll cut it off later. You'll be fine. And your name is?
And oh, he's dead. He's dead, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's out of the competition yet.
It's ridiculous.
The film finishes as a group of adults appear and go into the tunnel to carry out the bodies of the dead and injured children, which are then laid out in a long line along the railway track. That's messed up. I mean, I watched this last night and you watched it again this morning.
I've watched this again this morning.
And it's very uncomfortable.
It's incredibly uncomfortable. I think so. The closest I've seen to you know, something like this in real life is when I've seen. Well, actually, so I think I used the term Schindler's List, but I'm absolutely sure that I have seen sort of various bits and pieces from World War II, you know, like that. It's genuinely like that. Yeah. I half expect that if you pan to the right or something like that, there'll be a massive, great big hole in the ground and a mass grave to put the kids in.
To throw them in afterwards.
Really. I mean, I know that we sort of started with Dark and Lonely Water, and then we went on to Apaches and what have you. And Apaches had some very, 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 very horrific things in there. Nothing in Apaches, from my view, beats this for absolutely horror.
That one long lingering.
And you actually just see them just from the beginning of the tunnel. And it's the way in which the adults are carrying them. Some of them are sort of cradling them. Or, you know, there's a couple. So I would say PE teachers, something like that. They're basically just fine.
Just slung over the shoulder.
Slung over the shoulder, just walking out, having a crack, thinking about what they're going to, you know, whether or not they're going to go to the match on Saturday or something like that. It's very, very, very eerie, and you know, they're just, it's there.
It's not a good. It's not a good scene. And after the camera pans out to show all the dead and bloody children along the train track, we then return to the boy sitting on the railway bridge wall, who seems to be reconsidering the idea. You think?
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
The film was broadcast in its entirety several times on British television, and it was even screened in some schools. Now, not surprisingly, it immediately generated controversy, even becoming the subject of a nationwide programme, which was a programme on the BBC from 1969 to 1984. It's a current affairs programme, in which they had actually had a debate about whether or not this type of thing should be A, made, and B, shown.
Shown in schools.
Well, answers: A, yes; B, yes. Because I still think that, you know, okay, fine, fair enough, as horrific as this is, if you'd have seen this, you would have not gone near a railway track.
Oh yeah, this would have absolutely have frightened the hell out of you. You would, I can guarantee you would not have stepped anywhere near a railway line ever again after seeing this film. But it is like a lot of other public information films we've talked about here, do they perhaps go a little bit too far sometimes?
I mean, this is what some commentators and parents sort of worried that their children will be traumatised, and others thought that you might actually encourage copycat vandalism with sort of
with throwing bricks through the window. Yeah.
Many defended the film, however, as an appropriately tough response to a very, very serious problem. Krish refused to accept any of the complaints towards his film, saying that they completely forgot the fact that it was a fantasy, but they saw it as real. They said, "How dare you have teachers who are encouraging children to run in front of trains?" I mean, it was just rubbish.
Nonetheless, the film was deemed to be too controversial and too graphic, so it was quickly and quietly shelved, and would be later replaced by the equally grim, although slightly less gory short film, Robbie. But this still managed to be the stuff of nightmares.
Oh boy, yes. So, Robbie was another short film made by British Transport Films in 1979, and would later have revised versions in 1986. The short film tells the story of a young football enthusiast called Robbie, who trespasses on the railway tracks with, as expected, terrible consequences.
There were 3 different versions of the film made in order to demonstrate the dangers of both electrified and non-electrified lines. All 3 versions were narrated and introduced by children's television favourites Peter Purvis, or Keith Chegwin, depending on whether you saw the original versions or the revised edited version in 1986. But even the reassuring presence of these recognisable hosts couldn't stop classrooms full of kids from being terrorised into getting the message. All 3 variants of the film show Robbie being persuaded by his elder brother to climb through a hole in the fence surrounding a nearby railway line and go onto the track. Robbie, sensibly, is hesitant at first. But then all it takes for him to change his mind is being called a chicken. Ooh, can't stand for that, am I right?
Well,
he's called me a chicken now, I've got to do it now, see ya.
Here. That's what happened with Marty McFly.
Oh, Jesus, yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Marty McFly, you should have known better.
Should have known better.
You should have known better.
So, the 3 different editions continue as follows.
Version 1.
Non-electrified railway lines. As he is walking along the railway line, Robbie gets his laces of his football boots caught in the track and desperately tries to pull his feet free. We then hear and see a train approaching. The shoelace then pops and Robbie stumbles back in time, but trips on the other tracks, and then we hear and see another train approaching.
Version 2.
Overhead electric line. To encourage Robbie to cross the train tracks, Robbie's brother snatches Robbie's football boots and throws them onto the other side of the track. Unfortunately, they get caught on the overhead electric line, and when Robbie tries to retrieve them with a long metal pole, he's electrocuted.
Version 3.
Third rail electrified line. Robbie accidentally steps on an electrified third rail and is electrocuted.
Oh dear. In the next scene, Robbie's mother is informed that Robbie has been seriously injured and he's had to have both feet amputated.
Is that in version 1? That's version 1, isn't it?
That's actually in all 3 versions.
So hang on, whoa. I'm seeing a small sort of continuity gap here. So in version 1, he gets his legs mangled, maimed, cut off, etc., etc., and then goes to.
Yeah.
But he is alive. Okay?
Yeah, he is alive.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. In versions 2 and 3, however,
he is alive at the end of all 3 versions.
Oh, right, okay.
But at the end of each one, he's had to have both his feet amputated. So regardless of whether or not he's had his feet chopped off with the train or he's been electrocuted, he's had both feet amputated. The cause of the injury is not mentioned because it is different in all 3 variants. Each showing a different danger to be found on the railway, but it all still results in the same cruel, ironic twist. The film ends with a disfigured Robbie confined to a wheelchair. He's watching some other children play football, with a commentary by the narrator about how he'll never be able to play the beautiful game ever again.
And to just drive this message home with a final crushing blow, we are left with a closing shot of poor Robbie's sad, unused football boots, hanging up on the back of his bedroom door at home. Bastards.
I mean, talk about rubbing it in, for fuck's sake. The poor bastard, you know.
And this is just, I mean, first and foremost, right, you're using, what did we originally done in the 70s then, back in the 80s. So Peter Purvis was on Blue Peter in the 1970s, and as for Checkers was on everything.
Checkers
was on Checkers was on everything in the 1980s. So you're using sort of recognisable faces. And, you know, it wouldn't be one of our reviews if I didn't mention Pete Purvis. We all know what he was in the 60s.
Splink!
For fuck's sake.
Splink!
Again, it's just so unbelievably grim. And somebody, somewhere, thought, well, this is slightly less horrific to show to kids in schools than the finishing line.
And it is less.
It's less
horrific.
graphic.
It's less graphic. But it's still fucking terrifying, is what it is.
And these were sort of commonplace. I mean, all the way through. We've mentioned a good few public information films, but not sort of maybe short clips of them as well. But it does genuinely. The whole point of this is what could happen to your children if you do not keep them in your house, safe, locked up in their bedroom, in a box,
wrapped in cling
film and cotton wool, which will probably suffocate them anyway. So I'm probably not going to do that. But you know, all the way through, you know, the kids in Apaches, they all die horribly. You know, the kids in the finishing line all die horribly. Robbie is maimed horrifically. You know, Jimmy with his frisbee, he's electrocuted and dies. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. I mean, I don't think anything beats the kid that drowns in a
in the Slurry Pit in the Apaches.
In a pile of shit.
That has to, yeah.
That's a way to go. I don't want to go that way, thank you very much.
If we're doing like a top 10 or a top 5, you know, top 10 worst deaths in public information films.
Oh, that's number one.
I think, yeah, drowning in a
one.
pit of shit would be the worst.
That's number one.
Yeah.
And I think we've probably mentioned this sort of previously. We would never show our kids things.
Oh, no chance.
Oh,
absolutely no chance.
No.
I mean, I do feel that.
I mean, they probably get a lot out of them and scare them shitless.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't show them anymore.
But there's better ways of doing it, and you know, in the years after Robbie was sort of shown around schools, they sort of seemed to change tack. I mean, Roald Dahl wrote a short book about sort of railway safety with like various different stories and what have you, and that sort of got the message across, but not in a way that was terrifying, you know. More recently, you've had like the music video and the app, the game Dumb Ways to Die, which takes things on, you know, rather than terrifying children over this will happen to you, it'll basically say trespassing on the railway line. That's a really stupid way to die, isn't it? You know, you know, and they sort of compare it to other stupid ways of dying. You know, like set fire to your hair, poke a stick at a grizzly bear, use medicine that's out of date, use your private parts as piranha bait. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Have you not seen this?
I've not seen this.
Have you not?
I've not seen this.
Right, okay. Well,
I've not seen this. I need to see this after we.
Well,
finish
the song basically lists all these stupid ways that you could possibly die, and then throws in at one point, oh, and also trespassing near the railway lines. That's another stupid way to die, and that kind of gets the message across. Because there's also there's also a game as well that you can play where you've got to sort of stop the various different people from dying in dumb ways. And one of them is keeping them away from the railway track. And to put that into the same context as, you know, wearing wearing moose antlers during hunting season, you know, putting that into the same context as that works, I think. And it's also got the catchy tune as well for children to sing along to. So totally warn them about the dangers of playing on railway lines, but the way that they did it in Robbie, and especially the way they did it in the finishing line, it was, and in the ways they've done it with a lot of these public information films we've seen, it's like, yeah, that's almost going too far. Thankfully, fewer children are playing in dangerous environments or driving tractors over hills these days. Instead, they have unlimited entertainment options indoors. So in other words, don't let your kids go out ever, just let them stay in and play video games.
Yeah.
The government department that produced these films closed their doors for good in 2011, although their legacy still remains remembered, and you can still watch a lot of these.
All of these are
online, a lot of these are on YouTube.
Readily available.
Today's society does have its own terrors to contend with, and public information films do continue today in some capacity. These are often indistinguishable from actual adverts, but they can still frighten a new generation into being safe. But even then, they're nothing like the uniquely creepy public information films of yesteryear.
No door!
Stay safe. Stay out. Don't take a chance with electricity.
On the one hand, it's actually been really, really good doing doing these sort of public information film reviews, because most of these we probably saw when we were younger. A good lot of them. We saw them, and well, you know, we do remember them fondly.
Not so fondly.
Or not so fondly.
And the other ones, we never got shown them in school, but we heard of them, and then years later found out about them. And went, they showed this in school. No way.
And I think that's kind of one of the things I think is lost now. One of the things, yes, you do still get educational TV programs and what have you, but here in Britain we don't have that anymore. During the sort of 60s, 70s, 80s, every morning on BBC Two and on Channel 4, those were the schools programs. And
a lot of the time, your teacher would record them onto videotape and then bring them into school, and that was part of the lesson. You know when it was going to be a good lesson when the teacher would wheel the telly out on a trolley, and you think, oh, great TV time.
And you probably sort of when you went in on whatever day it was, you kind of got you remembered. Oh, hang on a minute, wait a second, it's Tuesday today. Oh, we watched a programme last Tuesday. I wonder. Oh, and then you wheeled it. Tuesdays, Thursdays was Look and Read.
And that's sometimes you would get Look and Read, sometimes you get Zigzag, sometimes you get Words and Pictures, and then every so often they'd throw one of these in. It's you weren't expecting that, were you?
There you go.
Right, we're going to watch something a little different today, children. What's this? Robbie? Oh, there's a little lad, he's playing football. Oh, what's he doing? Oh, no!
Cut to a younger Luke Murphy who's there bawling his eyes out. Where's Wordy? Where's the Bill the Brickie's not in this one?
Yeah, it's...
Take MAME, an ED, build yourself a world. All together now, MAME.
To say it's happening, take a look at it.
Oh, God.
You could actually do a pretty good Bill the Brickie, I think, of Apaches or something like that. Take die and build yourself die.
Yeah. Get the magic pen from
magic key.
We're gonna learn how to spell die. Let's do a D first, top to bottom, up and round.
These things happen. There's some people that watch these videos and they're going, yes, that's exactly how it is, and then there's people of a younger generation, one who's just behind camera, going, what are you going on about?
Yeah, it's.
Don't worry, we'll show you later.
It was a different time.
It was a time. It would be actually sort of nice to actually go back and look at one of those programs, in particular Look and Read. Because not only did you have the educational stuff as well, you actually had some pretty decent stories that were done on Look and Read. I mean, sort of Dark Tower is the stuff of nightmares.
Oh God, yes. That's quite.
That too is, and that was shown at something like 10 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And that is a ghost story, and it works really, really well as a ghost story. One of the main villains was played by Christopher Biggins.
Christopher Biggins, that's it.
Christopher Biggins is a wonderful, jolly human being.
Does panto a lot.
But in this, he was completely and utterly sinister. Yeah. And he's probably the worst. Not the worst thing about it, but the worst thing in it, in a good kind of way, because it's played really, really good. There are various ghosts in there as well, which is really, really good. Really, really good. It's terrifying. Yes, you look at it now, you think, bloody hell, this hasn't dated well, because I think it was in early 1980s. I think it was 83, 84 or something like that. And but there is from that point of view, but the story bits and pieces actually are really, really good and really do hold together. And then you go, Zigzag and what have you.
Zigzag
was awesome.
I did actually take a photograph of a pantomime post that had Christopher Biggins on, and I sent it to you by WhatsApp, didn't I? Going, hey, remember this guy?
I used to work in the Virgin Megastore. This is a true story. I used to work in the Virgin Megastore, and he must have been at Leeds Grand or something like that. And then he must have come into store one day or something like that with the rest of the cast or whatever. And somebody said, "Oh, Christopher Biggins," he said. And I was off doing something else, and I just went, "What? Sorry?" "Well, we just saw Christopher Biggins though." Off the shop floor. Where are you going? I'm going to my safe place.
Went to go hide in the toilets.
Tell me when the bad man has gone. But he's not.
He's a lovely person.
He's a lovely person.
He's a lovely person.
He probably does quite a lot for charity, although probably not on a motorbike.
Come to that, a lot of people don't know how silently a train can come at you, or how the sound of one train can drown the sound of another travelling on the other track. Or that a train can't stop anything like as quickly as a car. Or how points, for instance, can track you, because they're often worked automatically from miles away.
So we have concluded our second trilogy. We had a martial arts trilogy, and now it's taken about a year or so, but we have completed the public information films trilogy. They were very much of their time. Times have moved on now. We have other things to worry about now. They are sort of different things out there that our children need to be aware of. But back then, they felt that this was the best way of dealing with certain situations, and to a certain extent it worked. To a certain extent it probably worked a little too well.
Let's be honest with you. Yeah, the way that we're going to make sure that our children are safe is we are going to scare them, and we are going to show them how they can die horribly.
Yeah. Which again is something that you don't see in horror films. The Exorcist, you didn't see children dying. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, you didn't see children dying. Okay, fair enough. Teenagers, but not sort of children. So these public information films, like Apaches, like The Finishing Line, like Robbie, like The Spirit of Dark and Lonely Water, depicted children dying because they were foolish enough to put themselves in these situations. It obviously was what they felt they needed to do at the time. It was probably a little excessive, it was probably a little bit too over the top. Did it work? Yes, absolutely. Did it work a little too well?
Definitely.
Yes, as well. Are certain things that we have these days just as effective? For example, the Dumb Ways to Die.
Which I've now watched.
Which you've now watched.
Which I've now watched, and I think is absolutely brilliant.
I think with these days, children don't tend to go out and play now. They tend to sort of stay in and play video games. When they're playing with their friends now, it's usually because they're on Xbox Live or they're on PlayStation Network. There does need to be this type of thing now to keep children and people in general safe online.
I think it's internet safe. Certainly that's where things are going in schools and what have you. Getting children internet safe as they get older, as they get phones, know how to conduct themselves, etc.
To be wary of sort of potential terrorist threats and what have you. So we still live in a society where dangerous things can happen. It's just that the dangers now have changed. We don't tend to hear quite so much now of children drowning in reservoirs or drowning in pits full of shit at a farm.
It's taken just over a year to get there, but ultimately, I think we did too bad of a job with the public information film type of things.
Absolutely.
So
there is something definitely uniquely creepy about the public information films.
British about them as well.
Yeah.
I know it would be interesting to see some of the equivalent films in America. It would be very, very interesting to see those. But I think some of the early ones and sort of the ones that we were talking about, sort of the 1970s sort of horror teenage ones, they are, I think, uniquely British. So we went from last thing that we did, one of the last things that we did was Carry On film, so uniquely British film institution, and now we just went the same thing with public information films. This is of course cutting out what we did last time. Which actually
we've definitely had a unique season in 2019. We started off covering martial arts movies, then we suddenly went on to Carry On films,
and then we started talking about smut.
We started talking about pornographic podcasts. And now we're back on the scary public information films from the 70s and 80s.
It's eclectic, to say the least. No one knows what we're going to be doing next.
Oh, I certainly have a few ideas because we have a Christmas special coming up.
And if you thought Santa with muscles was bad enough last year, wait until you see what we've got planned for this year. Who's next? So until next time, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to this channel if you've not already done so, share this video with all your friends across social media. Subscribe for more.
Children.
Not for your children. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and we will see you again on the next episode of We Need to Talk About ...
So yeah, cheers now.
Set fire to your hair, poke a stick at a grizzly bear, eat medicine that's out of date, use your private parts as piranha bait. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Get your toast out with a fork,